that is on the Gyatso, Gyatso, give you where son Gyatso, you can just choke, you can choose and give some where son. The ne daily Gyatso Jotangi, Gyamro de Carisene, ne Gyatso to you, Gudilla, and as Dunga, Kova, Nasona, Korea, Dunga, Lepa, Targudu, and Big Tarduke, somebody down, and then. And daily Gubi, Nason, the Kova, the Nason, Dunga, Della, Gubi, nobody conscious of Yores, Yishi, anybody, and then came to Geshe. Then, and then on the draw some young Ganeshini, Korea, Dunga, Tadale, conscious of Gugri, some Yishi data, on the same dingy Yishi data, Jamro set and was soon. The Jamro said Atisha. It's not that any on the Gyatso Tosu Della, the Niki Gyatso Toyalan. Conscious of you in some diada, and the Gyatso Johnny, and the Jamri Lapcha, and it just some consum in Yamlenchiade, while La Gure said, kissing Dico on the Shesaravat Jam.
Good evening. Last week we concluded looking at the trainings in refuge. When we started to look at that about 5 weeks before, we looked at the three jewels themselves, the Buddha jewel, the Dharma jewel, and thirdly, the Sangha jewel. And we spoke then about the way to go for refuge, and there in particular, we looked at the two causes that need to be cultivated for refuge to be sincere. And the causes are firstly, the reflections on samsara. And one starts by reflecting on the sufferings of the lower realms, giving rise to a strong and sincere wish not to be born there, to be freed of the possibility of being born there. And independent on that reflection, one starts to cultivate the second cause, which is the conviction that the three jewels have the ability to assist us in ensuring we do not get born there. In other words, that they can protect us from being born there through aiding our spiritual, or guiding our spiritual development. And when one has cultivated those two causes well, so that from the depths of one's heart, one turns towards the three jewels for assistance in the attainment of liberation from suffering, this is when one has generated the mind of refuge. Or here, synonyms for refuge are protection, where one, or assistance, or guidance. And when one has generated this from the depths of our heart in a sincere way, one has gone for refuge. And moreover, in the preceding weeks, we looked at the various precepts of refuge, as well as the how to train in the precepts of refuge.
Nasung Dungal Jobna, and Jomna and Karikis Kiawachimala, Migo Watoya Chirua, and the Korea Dungal Job, and the Tarbico Watoya the Chagorua, the Nainzam, and the Manzuitisundua, kissing the Toriki Tien Topala, and the Yukarakure, said Jukure, said kissing Diva the Shesara, Chazanzogo, the Kovale, Nasung Dungal Tarache. Tori Hada Muko Van Topure, the Tobala, and Yugarasa Uresta, Jamdrigi Labjadi Sura, the Jamdrigipa, Jedu, Labjela Karlaburesene, Maso Dungal Targure, Dene Tane, and the Kawaja Torigi Topure Esrua, and the Torigi Hada Muko Van Tobala, Yugarasa Ures at Shed, and dealing of the Dinema, Yudi Gorima Shirua.
So here the cultivation of the two causes for refuge, that of fear of suffering, as well as trust or conviction that the three jewels can provide us with protection. Then this brings us to reflect, so what is meant by suffering? So here we would have reflected on suffering from two perspectives. Firstly, the sufferings of the lower realms, giving rise to a strong wish to be freed of that, as well as sufferings of samsara in general, how the entire expanse of suffering, of samsara, is pervaded by suffering. So the first of those two stages, that of suffering of the lower realms, when one gives rise to the wish or the determination rather, I need to be freed of such suffering. How can the three jewels then provide us with such a protection of the freedom from suffering in the lower realms? Well, that is through guiding us in the cultivation of the causes that lead to the attainment of a good rebirth in the happy migrations as a human or as a god. And then in terms of how can the three jewels guide us in attaining liberation and freedom from the sufferings of samsara in its entirety, this is through their guiding us in accumulating the causes that lead to the attainment of liberation. And this is where we came up to last week, so in the middle of page 23, under the outline, the law of karma and its results. One may wonder, granted, taking refuge in the three jewels can protect me from the misery from lower rebirth. And how so? That was through attaining good rebirth as a human or god. But how can it create the causes that bring us about a high rebirth? And this is where we come to now.
Gyatso Dorje, Gyatso Labje de Karasungara Sene, Sanji, and Tarba Korea Kasore, Korea Nasung Dungala Tarvala, Tarnan Tarba Torigo Toku Grace. Tizan Korea Dunga Tata Pambana, and Judgment of Toku Grace. Then and Dunga Nyomo Beke, you Nyomo Basha, that Java Pambaina. And Sanjoko Togurese, Tobiaki, Sum Shigurua, the Nienzadang, Turkey, that so Jamdrig Labja Lavia de la, Carla was in the Turkey, Tobi Gula, Carla was in Gula, and Legela Lavores, Gawad and Dibige, Gawad and Dibade, Dibopon, Gawaduku, Dibop on Gawaduku, since the Nienza, Delia didn't share the letter, the Nigim. Dipo on Gyatso Wenza and the Digorma, Chiquita, Dipa said the carry, Gawa said the carry study, Lady Charua, Digo Sherwa.
So I just want to correct at the ending of the previous segment, I made a mistake in the translation. So when we see this paragraph here, the way that the three jewels, from what we covered in the topic of refuge, how our refuge helps us attain a good rebirth and strive for liberation is through engaging in the trainings of refuge, or to express that differently, through cultivating the precepts of refuge, so the practices that should be engaged in, those which should be avoided. It's through engaging in following those precepts of refuge, accomplishing the precepts of refuge, that refuge helps us in our attainment of good rebirths and liberation. So that's to correct earlier, and now furthermore. So it's through these precepts of refuge, then one can attain liberation from the lower realms through attaining a good rebirth of a human or god. So that's how one achieves the first goal. Also, they help us achieve the liberation from samsara in its entirety through the prior cultivation of the cause of reflecting on how suffering pervades all rebirths and existences in samsara. One can attain the state of liberation. And moreover, through relying on the refuge precepts, one and fulfilling them to their entirety, one will be able to eliminate the afflictions together with their seeds and stains, and thereby even attain Buddhahood itself. And that brings us to the presentation now. How does one go about achieving any of these three results, that of a good rebirth or liberation or a good rebirth, liberation or enlightenment? Well, it's through accumulating the appropriate causes and eliminating the contrary causes. In other words, we come to the presentation on cause and effect.
Per chawa le majeba da miteba le jeba chu misewa so yu chula samde gedi langdor chujin du je kwela so wada.
And now, looking at the text, for this we must consider the four aspects of karmic law. Firstly, Positive and negative deeds plant seeds that will bear respective fruit, i.e. goodness produces future happiness and unwholesome deeds produces future suffering. Secondly, one seed produces many results, each of which has many seeds of a like nature. And thirdly, a deed not done produces no result. Fourthly, every deed you do with your body, speech or mind leaves a karmic seed on your continuum that is never exhausted unless experienced or neutralized by purification.
먼저 깔보스나 깔빌레람나 게빌레디시고라 나빌레람나 안에 디빌레디시고라 지사 레데라 깔빌레당 나빌레니디 게빌레당 안에 미게빌레니 삼 레데라네 먼저 게빌레 미게빌레 사지금 거래 지사 디니 규레 안델라테네 게빌 가소르 게빌레데라테네 마오바나 케와치마 가와키리라나 타다미고 보도 두고레시 지사다 미기벨레 나벨레 스나다 미기벨레 텔레테네 안케와치 마카르스네 아니 냐와 이다 둔로 숨나가 소숨나 기고레스 온두 삼다데 아니 데니기 규디사바나 제고 나솔레 기 디벨레 레 사바나 안디케와치 마가솔레 기고도 게벨레 사바나 케와치 마 젠들레 기투두스네 데니기 균레 삼다제 규단 제고 중하데 삼나다 제바체 삼나다 데니 인장 저기 개와치마 안손을 깨무고야 또 나가서 된줄을 깨고 인자 지금 안손을 깨게 귀도 봐가 근데 된줄 깨게 유 개와디 같이 사토도 치 사고래서 그러다
The Tibetan literally here is a black and white karma. Black and white karma is usually expressed as we have here positive or negative, or virtuous or virtuous and non-virtuous karma. So these are causes, and from the virtuous cause, when that ripens in a future life, as a propelling karma, it propels a good rebirth, a rebirth as a human or as a god. And non-virtuous karma or black karma, when that ripens as a propelling karma, it leads to the ripening result of a rebirth in one of the suffering lower realms, in the hells, in the spirit realms, or the animal realms. So reflecting on this first topic, or first point, which is usually translated as the certainty of karma, reflecting that from positive causes, happy results, desired results follow, and that from negative causes, undesired results follow. Reflecting on this first point, the certainty of karma, and seeing that this is definite, leads to one striving to accumulate as much virtue as possible.
Diva Jabana di Dibu Dunga Mato, Deniki Kawa Jene and the Dibu Dunga Mares, Diva Chene, di Dibu Delia and the Teoya Mares, Kiwi Lela Tene Dibu Dunga said to Toya Mares, Tisan Kiwi Legi Dibu Della Devara Yungores, and then Dibi Lela Tene, and Zamram Digia Yunguribes and Dineo Mares, Dibi Lela Tene, Dibu Caras Dunga Mato Yungomar, Chesa Dini Inzam. Geva than Dibiki Le Sosor Neba, Sosorang and Debudi, you had the Sosor Neba Regere, gave Legi, Debulatini, and then Digiona, Deoyaki, Chita, Dibi Latine, and Dumayadi, Debu Sosor Neba Resor, Gediki Le Sosor Neba City.
Yeah, in this first point, a key point of the reflection is what we see here. Goodness produces future happiness, and unwholesome deeds produces future suffering. This needs to be reflected on well. And reflecting on this well leads to the certainty that from a particular cause, a corresponding result will definitely follow. From a virtuous cause, only happiness follows. From a non-virtuous cause, only suffering follows. And this understanding needs to be gained with certainty, hence the usual translation of the certainty of karma. Because understanding that this is certain or definite leads to overcome the view that perhaps this slight non-virtue is okay. No suffering will come from it. Or maybe, who knows, maybe even something positive will come from it. This is a mistaken way to think. So here, one needs to come to the outcome where one is certain that from virtuous seeds, from white karma or positive karma, happiness will follow. Our desired results will be achieved. And that from non-virtuous or unwholesome or black karma, from this, only suffering will follow. This is what we need to gain certainty about.
Gewi Jebale Dina Ganga Cheson Seada, and Digby Lega Jene, Digation, or Diwachene George, Digishun Sonsen Big, some Yoma Siva Mare, the Yungor, what depending on Gabrielia, Chik Sosugi, and Ne Naza, Taya, Donda, like Kejo, Drupje, and then Gansum and Jik. Geshe Thubten Nazi de la Maton son Shison Wayne, or that Geshe Thubten Shison Sachi Chada, and Naji, Manzu de Yonsigur, Ben Gabrielia, Manzuyachi, Deva Shuji, San Yukulia, Duchene, Devache, Chawaya, Shua, to tap Jene, go to Shuche, Yashu, Damne, and Golden as Dadin said, Otangi de Gawad, Dinis, the Gawad, and Nazi Lesson Seada. Need the Gawad, near as a tire, don't the Gawashu doing the Shison Tamas, and Chesati, Shison, Dunga Jun Sempege, Gawad, not Dunga Jun to Sempege, the Neon Massiva Mare. Ya Digwagaze Cheshamane, and the Digi to Sembe, Yon Massiva Maranzuki, Semjan Sochu, Bejic, Mahanzulik. Ganga Chicken, Dawar of Shuvena, Manzuki, Pajic, Shavena, then they have been a social Ganga Chicken, Chikma, Meva Soyadu, so Derala, Galana, Chikungrua, Namdra, just tagging, Dawar Meva Soyasa, so Yangandra may be a little of Chadu, or my Chitelana child, or Dangi, Tibilachi and Tengalia, Digishon was a big, some no Yungruate.
This is an important point for everyone to reflect on, to gain certainty that from virtue only follows happiness and from non-virtue only follows suffering. Because from what one can directly see, one may well have misunderstandings, thinking that sometimes people who do great harm, they seem to be having a pretty wonderful life. So where is the karmic interplay here? For example, if someone who engages in a lot of negativity, perhaps killing a lot of animals, but when one looks at their life, it seems like they're quite free of problems, they have quite a nice life. But yet they clearly engage in non-virtuous deeds. So one can then have a misunderstanding about the law of cause and effect. Or similarly, if someone is very ill, and they use that opportunity to accumulate a lot of virtue because they're now not engaged in a lot of activities. Perhaps someone is at home isolated with under the current restrictions, and if they happen to be ill and pass on that illness, but in the time that they're ill they accumulated a lot of virtue, someone who doesn't understand the first point about the certainty of karma may think, this person accumulated a lot of virtue and now they've died. From virtue comes death. Or if someone is engaged in retreat, or perhaps doing a lot of prostrations, a prostrations retreat perhaps, and happens to pass away whilst in this retreat, then again someone who doesn't have clarity about the law of the workings of causality may say, oh, look at that person who was in retreat and died, or that person who was doing prostrations and hit their head against the Buddha statue and died. From virtue comes suffering, from virtue comes death. This is a person who hasn't reflected well on this first point of causality, where they have not given rise to the understanding about the certainty of karma, that from positive deeds comes happiness and from negative deeds comes suffering.
Dine 다디 간저게 계절 줍네 소설야 강아 중반에 계절 줍이야 계절가 줍나 디젤야 네 나서 중요하다 강아 중반에나 디 강아 주웨디 대시게 간저 계절 줍디게 되고 말해서 계절 줍이 되고 말해서 다들 간저 계절 줍이 되고디 디 간저 강아 중요하디 냐마가 저기 동안요에 레사시빌리 제부도 간저리 민고래시 지난 다들 간저 계절 줍제 인디젤 제부 동안 중앙에 베는 디 말해서 안 다들 계절 줍이 제부디 아니 민주래서 지난 되니게 계절 젤 동안 용배나 디 동안요에 규디 냐마 사시빌리 제부 민바리 마도 다들 계절 줍이 계절 줍이 계획레디게 제부 민바 말해서 그런데
This is a point that it's important that one has clarity on because, as you know, that when you engage in the accumulation of virtue, it's not always easy. We do experience hardships and obstacles. And sometimes the thought to give up, or this is too difficult, may well arise. So here we need to be clear that whatever hardships that we experience whilst engaging in virtue, those hardships are not a ripening result of the virtue that we are accumulating. Whilst engaging in our acts of virtue, we are accumulating positive karma, virtuous karma that will ripen in the future. What is ripening now is the result of karma accumulated previously, probably in past lives. So if we're engaging in the accumulation of virtue, but we are experiencing suffering and hardships and difficulties, whilst we are accumulating virtue, we are also experiencing the ripening results of previously accumulated negativities. Those previously accumulated negativities are now ripening and being exhausted, and at that same time, we are accumulating causes for happiness, which will ripen in the future, probably in future lives.
Gabriel ngazo kejo jubne ane ne nazo yonada di yonade karesne Gabriela ane kejo shukchimbu jude nkewa ma le dukja kanga ma bu nyongoya da nyewa de nege ane kyewa ge dunga ma bu nyongoya ge ro shiyo ba ina ane Gabriel ngazo kejo shukchimbu jude ndi gezege nyuba de la tene kyewa chima ge nemengi nyawa da de nege dunga nyoya de pa seje 세델이야 동아 춘춘지 세델이야 강아지 녀아 동아 델 민제 아니 동아 깨와치마 마손을 깨먹어와 동아에 따라야 되는 거래지.
In situations such as these, where one is engaging in accumulation of virtue, in particular an extensive act of accumulation of virtue, but one is encountering suffering and problems and difficulties and even illness, whilst the first point that has just been made is this accumulation of virtue and the ripening of suffering are not, the ripening of suffering does not come from the virtue that's being accumulated, but from previously accumulated negativities. So that was the point that's just been made. Moreover, through this act of the accumulation of virtue, that can serve as an impetus to ripen and purify previously accumulated grave negativities that are now not being experienced in a way that they could have been experienced as through a ripening in the lower realms, but rather through this accumulation of virtue they're ripening now in a far milder way and being experienced completely, but in a far milder way. Through the power of the virtue, these powerful previously accumulated negativities, their strength is being largely purified, and what remains of their strength is now being experienced as an illness or some other kind of negative, unwanted outcome.
제보 대화치가 맞도 동아야 요 말에 세상 디비레기 제보도 동아 요 말에 개화야 요 말 세상 디네 인상은 저 가브리엘이야 디네 레야데 아다 지게 나 로도 디네 기시로 어떻게 개화치나 나 강아트서 디네 동아 용소서 비기 니바 제나 샘제 소소 먹버치나 변조야 보쳐서 유튜브 차서 다디 디기 중소서 배용으로 디자 디네 인자 샘제 소소가 제 제베네 디 제비기 제부 동아디 마음 받는 용유래 난 직진에 세대를 양길이길이지네 동아리 뇨하게 용구로 And then that Semjo Sojo Song Gavrach in Benjo Yakocha so Digi Yadi, Kawamagi, Lesashi, Kiwi Lesa, Chimbiki, Chimbatashibi, D. Debudi, Sumingorwa, Mingurmado, said that Sojoji Belegi, Debudi, Miyomare. A keen rose and a keen road the Karachigorsen, the Niki Semja Sojan Song Gabi, Diki and Delatene, then Yamagi Tebu, Kawasashi, Chimbiki Tebudi, Mimaro Chagoro, Kendo, Dichigurmato, the lady Divaji Legi Tebudi, Shineminguri, what the Benjoya watch out, and it Tiki had the Mare.
Rode Tong Abdu, then it Kien De Kienzene.
Kien Dijabatene, Chigmuro, Satugoro, Regorova, Ning Murava, the Dikienchene, and Sosulia, Kawama Sajabilegi, Jewu Tiki su Mingorova.
His first point here needs to be reflected to gain clarity that from virtue it is certain that happiness will come, and that from non-virtue it is certain that only suffering will follow. Because it's quite easy for one to have some doubt. And if one has doubt, and doubt can come from a situation of perhaps where one is engaging in virtue but experiencing a lot of problems. And these problems, of course, are unwanted. And then one thinks, I don't want this suffering. I am not going to engage in this act of accumulation of virtue, perhaps helping others or whatever it may be, because it's too difficult. It's causing me too much misery. From this virtue I'm accumulating, I am now suffering. I'm not going to do this. So this misunderstanding that from this accumulation of virtue I am now suffering leads to one accumulating less virtue. And similarly, if one knows of people who engage in either legal non-virtuous acts such as killing animals or illegal non-virtuous acts, but both lead them to accumulate wealth and perhaps prestige in their society, in their communities, one may look at that and think, oh, maybe I should engage in something like that. Maybe I should take advantage of others. Maybe I should commit fraud because others do, and look how well they're doing. Or I should kill animals and sell them and make a good profit and also live a comfortable life. Because I can see others are doing it, and what's resulting from their activity, they seem quite happy and quite materially comfortable. So again, this is a misunderstanding of causality. Rather, the way to understand this is that the activity that is engaged in right now, that result is going to be experienced in the distant future, not immediately. So the person who kills a lot, perhaps the butcher who kills animals and sells their skin and their flesh, they are making a profit, they're earning a living, perhaps they're leading a comfortable life. But the killing is a non-virtuous act and is accumulating negative karma. That will ripen some future point. Their wealth that they are experiencing in this life is not the result of their killing of those animals. That is the result of the practice of generosity in past lives. There is a relationship between the act of killing and selling the meat and the skin of the animal and their wealth, because they sell and they earn an income. So what we see there is the business side of selling the flesh and the fur. This serves as a ripening condition for previously accumulated karma, and from this they earn a profit and their business is successful. It only serves as a ripening condition for previously accumulated virtuous karma. This negative karma they're accumulating from killing, this is still to be experienced, and that will be experienced in the future and can only be experienced as suffering.
Dibili Tebu, Dumaya, Givili Tebu, and Digi Hade, Sosoneva, Sosoneva, said Disigurva.
The point here to gain certainty about is that from virtue comes happiness, from non-virtue comes suffering.
And then lay de la Chidan, lay de la Sumchor, Kiwi, lay, Migivi, lay, and a Casore, Lumading, lay, such as Sumchigore.
The karma can be divided in many ways. A common division is virtuous, non-virtuous, and neutral.
Lumading, lay, said, lay de la, and Ditable, Dumaya, Yomara, Ditable, Digiaya, Yomara, Niga, Yomara.
So did address the neutral karma, then it does ripen. So neutral karma, when it ripens in a way that is neither happiness nor suffering.
Sachi Gili said, Sami Gili said, Sachi da Same, Dini Kaya Mayibili said, and Legi Namra, the Niki Chayor Wada. Sachi Gili says, Sami Gili said, then Sachi da Same Kaya Mayibili said, all the Niki Chabar Chayor.
Another way a way to then divide results is into divide karma. Another way to divide karma is contaminated karma, non-contaminated karma, and thirdly, karma that is neither contaminated nor non-contaminated.
And the leg nam debu mambo ya le pechawa. Then leg debu gawa chunchu jebina di debu pe chembo ya da yunimbu ya da. And the diba chunchu jine the niki and debu chembo ya da and mambo ya then is yunimbu ne yongo ya and then is yongo le pechawa said this one le pechawa so Lady Le Chunchun Digi Debu and Ginu Moya and Debu Mamboya. Gave Le Chunchun and Digi Debu and a patch of Gunu Moyada and a new Shuchemboya, the Niki got a patch of us.
The second point we have here, the way it's usually translated, is the magnification of karma. The magnification of karma. And the meaning of this second of the four key aspects of karma is that from a small cause, that small cause over a period of time leads to a large result being experienced. So from a small virtuous cause that is accumulated over an expanse of time, a long period of time, when that initial small cause ripens, it ripens in a large result. And similarly, a small non-virtuous cause, when that ripens after a long expanse of time, it ripens in a large negative suffering result.
And in the Karsi was that Dondala, Divachu na the Bangures, Divachu na Bangures. I did Divachu, Jeshanagayama, some big Jeshaban, some Divachu in a detail Chimuno, Yongores. They are Gawachu in another Chegores. That some that did take Chunju that did imagine that you get some Yonsigua. And the name is Gawachu in a Jehore, Divachu in a Bangores. Sizan Gawa Chunju Jebe in Debu, and Yaji Debu bottom of that the negative Union and New Chimoya.
The purpose of reflecting on the second point of karma is to come to the conclusion that what we do always matters. Not to deceive ourselves that whilst such a certain act, way of acting, way of speaking, way of thinking I accept it's non-virtuous, but it's not that important. It's small, it's insignificant, it doesn't matter. That is a mistake, and that needs to be abandoned. Similarly, when the opportunity comes to engage in virtue, again, whether it's through physical activity, a way of speaking, or a way of thinking, not to think, oh, only some minor benefit will follow from this, I can't be bothered. Here, through reflecting on this second point, one gains great clarity that what we do matters.
And then the Kewa Chunju Chebe di Devo and the Chimboya to Pisan Rochik Jabana and the Bene Chike Sanje Dang, Janju Sembala Sopa, then on the Puye, the Niki Medo Chunju Puena, Sosuki, Debe Kunelaja, Chipuya, Medo Chunju Puena, and the Sanje Janju Semba Chile in the Puena, and Digi Tebu Delia, Anzuki, and Chiki Dewa. Chimboya down, the table, Uniboya, and a chicken, Yungo, Sonam table, bottom of a Chimbosago regere.
Give an illustration then of from a small cause, a large result coming. Someone offers a single flower to a Buddha or Bodhisattva. This is a small act. But offering it to the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas, just this mere one act, is clearly virtuous, and this will lead to a great, powerful, desired result, virtuous result, happy result being experienced in the future.
Lama Sixu Rochi, Sixu Chunjura Shevene, and Digi, and Divat Chimbuya, and Ditebu, and the Uniboyongoyata, and Dennis Yungo Regere.
And the converse is also the case. If one speaks harshly, even slightly, just a mild, rude word, if one expresses it to a Buddha, a Bodhisattva, one's teacher, or one's parent, if one speaks to them in a harsh manner, then that too will lead to a powerful ripening, a negative ripening result over an expanse of time. So left alone, when that accumulated cause ripens over a long period of time, it will lead to a powerful, negative, unwanted result ripening.
On the names are that the Nigi they will pay Shawa said that bit Betty Chimangulungure. The names have been around to get Yamagi, the Yungudua, Yama, and Sosuki, Sosuki, Yenchita, Giruchini, then Matugores, and a Drodu Kabla, Gachile, and Lamga, then my Chuchunjuales, Chuchunji the Yondu, Drodu, and Yendi in Chudilba, Tuscine, Pachamjales, Dores. The end the boot the Shandadigi and oh, Bunashin draws on Chomson Lares. She's unquite 60 Bunashin Chomson Larva, 60 Lava Zamji, Legi, Jebutilia, Mombana, Pewy, giving up yelling with Charles, got Jebut, Pewy, giving up yelling with Charles. Is that the less at the Chunju Mado, Liomar, Bunashin Chomson, Di Mado Liomar, in the D. Jebutilla, and then Sosorai, Nason Tundui, and Pewy, Giva, Sarang up yelling with Charles.
The text have numerous illustrations for the second point here. And one is of a teacher and student who were traveling together, and their path narrowed and came across a stream of water that couldn't be stepped over, so they had to jump. And the teacher jumped over the stream of water, and the student then mentally criticized the teacher, thinking to himself, oh, he jumps like a monkey. And this criticism, just this mere thought of comparing his teacher to a monkey, led to a rebirth for 500 lifetimes in the lower realms as a monkey himself.
Kundo Kilon Kashi Sonyum Drodu Kabla, Jidu Chid and Ji Obu Naji Chomsalaya, Dinish Pashin said, Dini Dona, you are this needed.
But actually, if I remember, if I think clearly now, I think the story in the sutra is that it wasn't a teacher and student, but it was one monk to another. 알레 고선 고선. 네.
제마는 점제대로 제마 두스진의 바라 상기를 표현하지.
아, 고선.
지산 디 유선음이 되버들라는 개와 지마 혼을야 아니 지기 네. 지 튕기에다 벤 지기 야고 인사도야 안 되는 야고 중화래 세시 시기도와 이제 이제 부여를 충충마도 부여마도 있는 디 대부대报도 봐 용거라 대가서 가르스네 부유 상예디 아니 연대 삼지미 켜봐 인사 내가 부 충충이 부여네 띠 부세 유유 뜻이 소설에서는 침바사야다 대지대야 안에 소수기 랍사들라 띠인 개론치르마 야고 지를 나와 인자 되게 이웃은 나와서 니기 유유 뜻이는 그런 제보들을 누가 봐도 뭐 용어야 차가데 딘디 유유 켜봐자 디디 옮기는 거로와.
It was also at the time of Buddha Shakyamuni. Some children who were just playing in the dirt saw the Buddha approaching. So they gathered up some of the dirt that they were playing in and offered the dirt to the Buddha. So just this mere act of offering some sand to the Buddha, this led to this virtue, led to them having a great number of resources or comfortable resources, an abundance of resources in their future lives. So from these two stories, the point to take away here, in addition to from small acts come powerful results, is that why in these illustrations such powerful results came was because of the power of the object that was in the first illustration being criticized, and in the second illustration was having sand offered to him. But because of the power of the object to which the action was directed, a very powerful result came.
디버빵아 세도 lunga 유스미 디버빵야디 남용아 저게 준 참아 치수 나캬 세야다 아니 류주권에 소주바 마진바 렘바다 아니 야로임라 소바다 이 유권에 납심 뇌심 로다라 소바 디수파 빵야다 안디 도조가 저 개와주 냠nen지야디 차고르바 지자 디네 인상 개와주 습세야 때디나데 양아도 미셰바 나실 럼림나 셰바 나징아 저 가서스네 진바님네 저 수dim님네 수배님네 준르님 삼대님네 제들이 제가 디네 장아도 토리기 도비 귤에 가르두고래 세대 된다나 아주기 토리기에 유딜에 수rim소야 되래 수rim소야 돼 차고로 봐 제가 수rim소야 돼 인자 류마 예수 예제 때문에 수rim소야 돼 아니 아주 토리두비 귤 다다 미고 봐도 규차고 그래 디네기 수rim디 뉴바체 예규 규디 뉴베체로 써야 돼 가지고 꾸노라라리 거로다 다 꾸노라 가지고 꾸노라 장주 심기 꾸네나지 심전 탐지게 동화세야래 디기도 심전 탐지 동화세고도 심전 탐지게 돈달이야 니 아니지 녀모베 랑기 녀모바 류가이스 녀제 타지 돔 디마제 아니 셴 랑기 냠수 냠nen제데 디 냠nen 냠수 렘베 토네 셴라야 아니 류가이스 녀제베 돔제 셴기 동화템지 녜세야게 특지기 심제 디엔장에 류가이스 녀제데 수름 숨기 제가 디엔장에 상계고 봐 토구구도 제가 상계 토바 토바 지기니 심제 탐지 동화세 고고 심제 탐지 동화를 세야야 아니 심지 상계고 봐 맞으면 탑민도 제가 상계고 봐 토바 지긴 세비게 토바 쇼스베 장주심 유군에랑 디인장에 류가이스 녀제 랑게 류가이스 녀제 돔 셴라야 류가이스 녀제 돔 바이나 아니 개와치마 안 된지 된래 기투고 디 탑시 지긴 심제 안 베제제는 수림 소아이나 다 수림 송거더디 아니 수림게 되보디다 랍첸 제보 바도메 버주야 차고라 탈바다 상계고 봐 개와치마 하다 미고 봐 토비하다 탈바 토비하다 근데 상계고 봐 토비 규차르고로 완전히 랍첸 차르고래
When you talk about the accumulation of virtuous karma and the elimination of non-virtuous karma, then we look at this in the context of activities of our body, our speech, and our mind, to ensure that our physical activities, our speech, as well as our way of thinking, is always in the direction of virtue, and we refrain from these three doors going in the direction of non-virtue. And the presentation we're most familiar with is that of the Lam Rim, which presents the 10 virtuous acts and the corresponding 10 non-virtuous actions to be abandoned. So the 10 non-virtuous actions are the opposite of the 10 virtuous. So the non-virtuous of body are killing and stealing and sexual misconduct. And the opposite of those three are the 3 virtuous acts of the body. And the 4 non-virtuous acts of speech will be lying and harsh speech and divisive speech and idle speech or gossip. And these are the 4 verbal non-virtues, and the opposite of these are the 4 verbal virtuous acts. And then the 3 mental non-virtuous acts are covetousness, harmful intent, and wrong views. And the contrary to these, the opposite to these, are the 3 mental virtuous acts. So these are what with our body, speech, and mind, we need to engage in and turn away from. But then, moreover, a further way to look at the virtue that we need to accumulate is if we think about the acts of generosity, ethical conduct, and patience. First one, this act of ethical conduct here, this is the primary cause that leads to a good rebirth as a human God. So to achieve a good rebirth in future lives, the primary cause that beings have to accumulate is to be ethical. And ethical in relation to their physical activities, their way of speaking, and their way of thinking. This is the primary cause. And what determines whether something is virtuous or not is due to the motivation. And the strength of that same act it depends on the power of the motivation. So what's of primary importance, or what is of essential importance, is the motivation. And amongst the various motivations that one can generate, the very best is that of bodhicitta. So if one is guarding one's ethical conduct of one's body, speech, and mind, but with a motivation of bodhicitta, a motivation that is, I will ensure that I bring no harm to others through my way of physically interacting with verbally interacting with others, and my way of thinking. Moreover, I will ensure that I will restrain my mind from following the afflictions, and rather ensure that my mind is always dominated by virtue. And in this way, I will restrain my body, speech, and mind, and not bring any harm to others. This then is the practice of ethical conduct under the influence of bodhicitta, because the motivation furthermore is that I'm restraining my way of thinking and thereby my physical and verbal behavior so as to accumulate the causes for my attainment of enlightenment, so that I can guide others skillfully to achieve their own enlightenment, so that whilst I'm progressing to Buddhahood, I can be an example to others, and I can be a genuine guide to others. With such a motivation then, one engages in the same practice of ethical conduct, but with this motivation of bodhicitta. And therefore, because of the differing motivation, whilst the act may be the same, of restraint of body, speech, and mind, one accumulates, in addition to the causes of a good rebirth as a human or God, one also creates the causes for developing bodhicitta, for liberation from suffering, and enlightenment too.
난 탈바세야디 토부도 그게 동아 타달을 주베 탈바세 토부도 제가 탈바 토바 쇼 선배게 삼다제 탈바더니 삼바군이랑 인장에 영화 예수 예제된 비추림 송게 있으니 예제된 게 있으니 비추림 송가 있나 내게 추림 송야지 규텔라 때네 아니 개와치마 타다미고 와 톱토고 거래 아니 아니 마세 아니 내게 추림 송야지 개와디 아니 탈바토비 규야 차르고 그래.
And similarly, a practitioner for whom the goal of Buddhahood seems too daunting and who does not hold as a desire to give rise to bodhicitta, but has come to realize the pervasive nature of suffering in samsara and wants to be freed of suffering in its entirety, wanting to attain liberation from samsara, they will engage in the self-same act of restraining their body and thereby practicing ethical physical behavior, restraining their speech and thereby engaging in ethical verbal behavior, and restraining their mind, keeping their mind ethical. And through engaging in the same practice of ethics, but with this motivation of wanting to achieve liberation from samsara, the causes they create are powerful. They are causes that will lead to a good rebirth as a human or God, as well as will ripen in liberation from suffering.
예. 디네게다 장주심기 군에 말라만자 마시 군노메바인자 근데 산지게 산유토비고 규차고 말와.
But if one doesn't have the motivation of bodhicitta, that one's virtuous act cannot become a cause for enlightenment.
나네게 타바 삼마다지 깨와 치만 아송에 타고도 깨마치나 깨와지말 하다 미고방 토고도 좀 대잠삼다지 군농 깨와지말 하다 미고방 토들기 토고도 좀 되냐기 삼노 대잠유고 내라지 되네게 주름 송에서 주름 송와이나 되네게 주름 송아디 누가 이니셔도 배 주름디 내게 깨와지말 하다 미고방도 배 규차기를 마도 야한테 탈바다 탐지 김고 봐도 배 규차기고 말아.
The practitioner who's generated fear for the lower realms, but hasn't generated a wish for liberation from samsara in its entirety or enlightenment, when they engage in the same act of restraint, of their way of restraining their mind from going in the direction of non-virtue, restraining their speech from going in the direction of non-virtue, restraining their physical behavior from being non-virtuous, this ethical conduct, same act, but will lead to the result of a good rebirth. And it will do so, because that is the extent of their motivation, but it will not be able to become a cause for liberation or enlightenment.
군노데라 군노의 왕기다 개와된 유바치 중송하러와 지나 샘전 탐 군노 샘전 탐지기 되나 삼다제 군노데 인자침부 자주 샘전 탐지기 되는 사다 삼다에자 군노 니토네 아니 개와 류가 있으니 주되면 수준 송하인자 송하이나 개와데 같이 차야다 나 탈바다 탐지 김비기 가서 탈바토비야기 감숨을 고려 동아 타달을 뒤에 주로고 샘비기 군노 니게 삼다나 군노디 전주심이 심지 탐지기 삼다들의 걸때 총하지 개와 치말 하다 미고 와삼 삼들의 삼노디 군노디 개체와라 되네 이제 니 군노 삼다네 영화 예수 예주되면 수림디 제보 수림디 아니 누가 체와 체도 와 디기 제보디 안 누가 체리고 와 아니 난 탈반 개와 치말 하다 미고 와삼 톱지기 되니 이게 군노디다 군노디 나네 총쇼디 이제 디기 영화 예주되면 수림 속에 수링이 되고디야 아니 개와치말 하다 미고 봐도야다 디델라 디게 영화 좀마도 탈바다 탐지기 먹고 봐도야 자기도 지금 송야기 수림디 직바 이용해서 예주되면 수림 직바 있나야 콜라 아니 대부 개체중 영화에 가르쳐야 했으나 군농의 왕기 콜려야 된 누가 체중 자성으로 자 진짜 디 왕기 네 용거로 봐.
What we should see then with this explanation and seeing how it ties in with the second point here is that one's motivation is of great importance. Because with these varying practitioners, what they have in common is they are restraining their way of thinking, their way of speaking, their physical behavior. So the act of being ethical, this act of restraint, this is the same. The variety of results that they have, but the act of the ethical conduct is the same, but the motivation varies greatly. So the practitioner with the supreme motivation, they are thinking not merely of themselves, but of each and every single sentient being, without exception, and therefore, of course, from that same act, they receive a far more powerful attainment or result, and that is Buddhahood. And that is because of their differing motivation. Another practitioner who can't, with sincerity, think of attaining Buddhahood for the sake of all sentient beings, but has given rise to the strength of mind that is determined to abandon samsara and turn away from it and achieve liberation. So this person has generated a mind such as definite emergence. They, with this strength of mind, engage in the same act of ethical conduct, but are accumulating the causes that will lead to liberation. And likewise, the person who's not only thinking about themselves, but is also only thinking about their very next life and not falling into the lower realms, but achieving a good life. Whilst it's a virtuous motivation, the strength is so much weaker than the other two, and therefore the result is that much smaller. Just a single good rebirth. So what we see here in the second point is the virtuous act isn't changing. The motivating intention, this is an independence on the strength of the motivation, or as we heard earlier, the object. Then the result of that same act will be greatly different.
Tien Toba la Gugada Sakure, Sachi Shindu, Kanagi Lele, some Tachi, and Yamnichi Sigurova, Dinenza, Divasa, the Luma Yusum Yukonation, and Nipi Chawa Cheba, and the Dipares, Chizan Dijabaina, and Cetella, and it indeed, Nanzokama Yomase, Java Chimaina, and Nansonaki Guchadu Gores, Dinenza, and that Nansola did, Geneta. Tigmare, the Zada, Nansola Magia, Dandala, Nansoy Gudi, Dinisawkin, part, Tipango, or some jam. Tana young Nanson the Tane, Tori Tobia Gudi, Hadamigo, Tovia Topche, did and they are digging young boy Gudi Caresine, did it, Sudim Siadi, Sudim Siadi, the Luma use Nieju, Domba Docho, Nieju Domadies, just a Nieju Dombadi, that Luma is Nieju Sudim Lady, Yaputsumbaina. Digi Jebo de Kiwachima, Hadamigo, top to war, which is a 10 delians, Geshe Thubten, Digi Thubten, Yagon to war, which is a dinner, in that dinner Zada, and the Hadamigo, Togo in them, and the Sutim Lumas music to Sungi, some Bashirwada, and the next some Diana. And they are Jigarang, Jibu Mayaba, Semja, Tamje, Dewa Midubari, Dewa Dubari, Dunga Midubari, which is a dinner, Semja, Tamji, Dunga Seare. Dalai, and in English, you to be Sudim Soyata. And Mazida, the same Jati Dunga Siare, that in Nekabla, Nayami Kinchin, and Azumilia, and Chaza, Chikama Mobotea, and the same Maki Otea, and Kashi Shisha Mojo, Dinichua, Dineza, Dinigate Dandala, Simja Tamji, that the me Sumbigi, Azugi, Le Nyomo Bachaza, Dunga Segu, said that the nigger several shows. The Dunga say Dondalangi, San Yoko, Tobachi, the Zangi, the Luma Yusumukone, Nature Temple Sudim Sung, the Sungi Sempige, some Dachang. And then Luma Yu, and that's our Chimea, Sempige, the nigger, somebody, Yana, Yando, and some Tavina, the Tori to be Gyatso, and the Kaze, Chekom, and Digi, Tibutiki, Yawachima, Hadamigo, want to Kore, and the Hadamigo want to Amase, the Nigi Gudi, and San Yoko want to be. And Gyatso, and the nigger samta. The nigger other Lunga use some jetam San Yokoban Toya, the same jetam Dunga said, and the Yudu Chidu, San Yokoban Toba shows him some Lunga use some Yoko and Egypt, Domgins and Big Domba, Dombe, Samba, Disu, Tone, Yamazuki, many Tayada, and the Jiki Gawaka Juvine, and Chasan, and the Gawachagurwa, Chasan, the Nishi count to the shading and the Diring share together to the nature.
When you look at the text of this very first line we saw tonight, taking refuge in the three jewels can protect me from misery of the lower realms. We've looked at now how that is done. Taking refuge in the three jewels, part of those trainings were to receive teachings and to reflect on them. And here, part of those trainings of refuge were to receive teachings and reflect on them. And part of these teachings then encompass what are the causes for happiness? How do we achieve the causes for good rebirth? And we heard tonight again that the primary cause is ethics, to be ethical. And through our behavior, our physical behavior, our verbal behavior, and primarily our way of thinking, ensuring our mind is always virtuous, always ethical. And if our motivation that has arisen from reflecting on the sufferings of the lower realms is that I do not want to be born in the lower realms, I could not take that suffering, I have to achieve a good rebirth. And if that's the extent of one's motivation, then that will be the result that one will achieve from one's ethics. So one will achieve one's desired goal of a good rebirth. But what I'd encourage you to do is to give rise to this wish to be freed of suffering of the lower realms, and if possible, develop that further to give rise to the wish of suffering in its entirety, the suffering that's experienced too by humans and gods. And then, thirdly, to extend that to others, recognizing that all beings share our same wish to be freed of suffering and pain and not have to experience even the slightest of difficulty. This is something that we all experience. None of us are unique in this. And therefore, it's not appropriate that I strive solely for my own welfare when others desire the same outcome as I do. But they lack a guide, they lack knowledge of how to achieve this. And develop this way of thinking, committing to strive to become a Buddha for others. In the moment in the world we can see there's a lot of fear, a lot of death being experienced and a lot of suffering being experienced because of the pandemic. So this is something that is present in all our minds, and we can regenerate the wish, may all be freed of such fear. May all be freed of uncontrolled death and rebirth. May all be freed from all forms of suffering, no matter how slight. And I take it on myself to strive wholeheartedly to develop the causes of happiness. And I'll develop these causes, and may all beings experience their ripening results. May they experience these ripening results through the attainment of Buddhahood, and I will strive wholeheartedly to become a Buddha for their sake. Because it's through becoming a Buddha I will be able to guide beings in how to turn away from suffering, how to accumulate the causes for happiness. And in this way, no being will have to suffer again in the way that they are suffering now. And when we generate such a way of thinking, especially when it's with sincerity, and we do so repeatedly over sustained periods, so this way of thinking becomes natural to us, then we accumulate causes of great power. These causes will not only ensure good rebirths for us in the future, it will ensure that we experience happiness in this life too. Moreover, we will have positive impacts on the lives of others, leading them to accumulate virtue as well. And of course, this virtue will lead to our eventual attainment of enlightenment, and thereby to be of ever greater benefit to others. So I encourage you then, when you cultivate such a motivation, I encourage you to do so regularly, and then to, under that influence of that motivation, to engage in whatever virtuous activities you incline towards, whether it's the recitation of Om Mani Padme Hum or whatever kind of virtuous activity, and then dedicate that merit so that all beings may experience the lasting, stable happiness of enlightenment.
Lama Jimbike na langa sa che dene YouTube na do tangdua chesa gisin and deniki sabaina zuge Sonam sagoro Sonam sabaina ane neamna and deniki mauge ki chaba yungorwa dene za ane luche Dala Carsmore and the council in the South, Sungor, what the nigger Sungor, that in the Zanzugi, the Anixim in the Saja Comer and Bachelor Sopanan, Joram Chesene, Tanganzugi, Sonam Sago, what is such as Sonam Savina, and then that's the Mayata, Sanzugi. Chicken, Zambeling, the Michazan, Ganga Chazan, Jam Ninjocom, Chazangi, kissing Yaram Sonsa, Jam Ninjocom, and it was Tamjeta, Jana, Sempiki, some gender, the Niki Niam, the Ganga Chazana Mayon, show Sempiki, Tungadatan, Sempi Jam Ninja, some Taje, and the Niki, and the Jemiki, Na, Sayata, and the day, which is Supremacy Sona, Shinchene, Luma Kimpik, Na, the Kidus, Sava, in the Sonam Sago, Denisa, and Duschene, Chetunan, Yaburesh Sonsa Denisa, Supremacy Dina, Nangdu, Denisa, Mazine, Denisa, Semja Tamje, Tunda, Antiki, Semja Tamje. Dewa de Dena, Sambata, Dungada Tower, Densa, Semja Tanchasan Yokoba Toba Chi, is Jade Semja Dunga Seg, Donda Yin Samje, San Yokoba Toba Chi, Denigan, you Semji Sam Gunela, Denza, Lunga Yesum Yeju, Chasa, Gari Dongi Shan, Nebige, Samba Chasa, Dongi Sembige, and the Ranchi Sambati Sungi Sam, and the Nigson and the Shan Semja Tam Jegi, Ne Naza, and Dunga, and Neam to you. She was sure, she said, Dineza, Idam Lama, Idam Sanye, Karanzuki, Jini Labrochi, saying to Molam Depche, and now checked the day on Bishes Banasha or Sawas or Jashamane said, I'll do sit, Dixie to Hada, Dare to Soa Hasin, and Chizun to Migan Atiki, the nigger some touching to Sabaina, and then so in a Gawasagorwa, that, and Jana Pampa Yon Sigurwa, then, or the Neza, or to chatting on that. Paratile Chasada now Ligas of Chagoza, Denike Samta, Pembe Sambu Gunia Lachi in Chevena, Rashi Nigala, Panto Yumsigua.
Dene, sempre chicken hakokide, the jumper young Nakpo, Segre, jumper young Nakpoking, Nak the dumping.
And the Reme,
the simple
Loma Gimbingata, to make an art.
Lama Zopa recently gave advice on various practices that he wants his students to engage in because of this current pandemic in this world. So I believe that advice is referenced on our website and possibly on this YouTube page as well. And so I would encourage you to follow that advice, to recite those mantras, because Rinpoche's motivation is exactly as was expressed here tonight, to accumulate virtue on behalf of all sentient beings, to accumulate virtue for those who are suffering, who are facing death, who have lost loved ones, those who are afraid, and to dedicate this virtue to their attainment of a state freed of suffering and pain. And His Holiness also has given similar advice, and he's given advice that for beings to overcome suffering, the best meditation is to cultivate the minds completely contrary to minds of suffering, and those are the minds of love and compassion. So meditate on love and compassion, and dedicate the virtue from your meditation to all sentient beings. And then recite mantras such as the Tara mantra, and Gena recited another mantra, but I don't know it. And recite mantras such as these, and again dedicating the virtue so that all sentient beings may be completely freed from suffering. May all sentient beings experience only happiness, and may all sentient beings come to attain the state of exalted enlightenment. And with such a motivation, repeatedly make this commitment: I will refrain from all forms of non-virtue. My physical way of acting, my way of verbally communicating with others, and my way of thinking. I will ensure these are all virtues, and I do so for the sake of others. And all this virtue that I accumulate, I dedicate so that all beings may be freed of suffering. May this pandemic come to an end. May beings experience freedom from all forms of suffering. And turn your minds to your lamas, turn your minds to your yidams, for for inspiration. And with this inspiration welling up within you, engage in acts of virtue, accumulate these mantras, and dedicate it to the welfare of all beings.
Golo. Gonor Tia Nyanga Yorwa, some misunderstanding Nyanga Yorwa, is a Kasuri. The Niki Tumbing Asa, the Lomogiming Asa, and coronavirus, the Meva Chagri Sigo Mare, the Nazuku Mare Lago Mare, Nazuku in the Taru Lago Mare, the Niki Sosugi, Che Nanchu, Nambu Chule, Deva, you can Lama, Lama, Deva, the issue event, the Nesaba, and Sonam Sagri, Pinkiris, your mother. Nazarikinu Gugu Maritas, Nazukoba and Disan and Daru, Disungo Mare, the Pingiris order, and Bendigo, the main big members, Kara Kongure, Labayasan, Duguri Sigua, Tingongo, Pingiris, Nazamoya, Pingiris, or Mado, Nazukoena, Kara, Labotun, and Nazagri Sigo Marwa, and a laboratory, Kara Gwendin. Nazikino Gugu Marisungo Maro, Chisa Subsubchi Gures, China Dinichin, Labotuya, Mongo, Karakomba in a Pingiria Sunguru, Lagoro, member that did Lopton, but the Pingiria Sunguru, or Dina Shiria Mato, that Labotuya Karakona, and Nazikino Gugu Mare, Gobena, Labotuya Karakona, Nazataru, Lagoma, the Mongo, Pingiria Sunguru, on Dina Shiria, Hazuki, Sanjeta, Lama, Devache, Ishiche, and Deniga, Sava in a Pingiris, Sungurumoto, Nazugino, Zao, Gumarda, Digo Dumba, Nazataruda, Lagoma, Sungomar, Tia, Chike, Golotia, Nagayorwa.
There's an important point to make here to prevent any misunderstandings. And it fits very well here because we're talking about our karma. We're also talking about the prayers to do in the connection of this current pandemic. So it's quite possible some will misunderstand, thinking that the advice that is given is so as to bring the pandemic to an end, so as to heal the ill. This is not the purpose of reciting the mantras. Through reciting mantras, making prayers, the pandemic is not going to disappear. The ill are not going to magically heal. What will happen, though, is that virtue is accumulated. And from virtue, desired results come, happy results come, wanted results follow. So the way to understand this is that the virus, in the context of this virus, the virus is present in the world. The advice that the medical professionals are giving, and we should be following, is to wash our hands repeatedly, keep a distance from others. In certain contexts, certain workers need to wear a mask and so forth. Through washing one's hands, through keeping a distance from others, through wearing a mask, doesn't lead to the virus vanishing and the ill healing, but it prevents one from becoming ill. So in a similar way, through accumulating virtue, this leads to, through greater stores of virtue, one can bring about more desired results. Doesn't prevent what has already ripened from being experienced, but it does lead to desired results following. And thank you. And then we finish there for tonight.